Hello, I am Sama Morningstar, Feminine Embodiment Queen and Womb Healing Specialist. And I have with me today the lovely Thalia Barret, and she is the Visibility Goddess. Now, if you've been following me for a while, and you notice that I start saying that I am the Womb Healing Specialist and Feminine Embodiment Queen, well, I learned about that about myself largely because of Thalia and her wonderful Visibility Goddess experience and Visibility Goddess challenges. So she and I know each other through that and from several other experiences together in the online arena. And she agreed to come on and share with you about her experience of my womb healing work, because she got to know me quite a bit in my process of coming out of hiding and bringing my message into greater visibility in the online arena. And it's an intimate message, and that is a challenging process to bring it into more visibility. So Thalia has been a wonderful ally and support in that process. And I would love for you, if you're interested in learning more about her Visibility Goddess experience, you can go to her website, the Visibility Goddess, or is it just visibilitygoddess.com?
Yeah, if they want to check out the Visibility Goddess experience specifically, then they would just go to visibilitygoddess.com/experience. So,
and then there's a waiting list there for the next time it runs. And I highly recommend it, following her, getting on her email list, whatever, because I love Thalia, and I just have to say that the degree of intimacy that you create in your work, it just really matched the level of intimacy and depth of the work that I do. And that's not easy to find in the online arena. So I'm so glad that we found each other.
And me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was an amazing introduction.
Yes. And so, and I'm so grateful that you offered to come and share with my audience about your experience of my work, just from that context, getting to know me and really diving deep with me about who I am and what my work is about. And so, I had a few questions that I wanted to answer. So the first one is, what drew you to learn more about what I do as a womb healing specialist?
Well, I think it was originally, we met kind of through social media years ago, and I just kind of slowly followed and saw the things developing with you. And then I believe I ended up joining one of your Facebook groups. And what I loved the most was that it was a totally unique concept to me. I had never heard of anything remotely close to womb healing. And so I think that was the first thing that really kind of triggered something in me, was just, what is that? What on earth is that, and how can it maybe benefit me? I just am really curious anyway. So and then as I started hearing some of the history, because I know you love to share the history of it, and then when you were in the Visibility Goddess experience and you really delved into the history and shared a lot of the womb history and healing around that, I just thought, oh my gosh, I think that's something that I need to explore a little bit more. I think it's often that women feel awkward about talking about all of those different aspects of their body. And of course, I've had 3 children, so I have talked about it with specialists and doctors, but when it comes to having some kind of relationship with it, or seeing it as something positive instead of something negative, that was really curious to me. And so I've really enjoyed hearing you describe the history and helping me to understand how valuable and important it is to connect with really all of your body, but especially as a woman, to connect with your womb and to understand the power of it in your life, especially around the fact that it's so connected to emotions, which probably is like my biggest hang up when it comes to dealing with any kind of womb healing. It's just the emotional roller coaster that I feel like I'm on a lot as a woman. So I think really wanting to square that away and understand it. And even if I couldn't remove all of the, emotional roller coaster that happens all month, to really be able to understand it. So, yeah, I think that's really what drew me in initially.
Mm-hmm. So then how have your experiences, have you noticed some changes and some influences? You've just been sort of seeing what I post in my group and then hearing me share as I've developed my visibility in your groups. How has this started to influence or move you along that journey of having more understanding of the emotional rhythms that are going on in relation to your womb?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing I noticed, especially, as a woman, we kind of learn to deal with it throughout our lives, and we just function however we're functioning. Every month we just function. And I learned how to just cope with the, PMS or whatever emotional things came up. And it just kind of became a joke in my life. So it was just like, oh yeah, there I am again, having to deal with this thing every month. But as I was in your group and as we talked through the VGE and all of those areas, I started to realize, the confusion I had around understanding the cycle and the emotional aspect, the mental aspect, the physical aspect of everything that was happening with my womb, something that I didn't pay attention to really except 1 week out of the month, it really helped me to start making routines and schedules around that so that I wasn't overbooking myself in my business during those days or weeks when my mind was just not itself, and it was just, my level of emotions were dropping some, and it just understanding the cycle of it all and how to respect it instead of try to muscle through it all the time. That was huge. That really helped to dispel a lot of the confusion that I was feeling over why this week am I feeling so lousy and everything in my business feels like it's a failure, and I just go through this like major drop. And so when I started to see the rhythms and I started to understand, oh, this is a natural process, and they don't really teach you more than this is the cycle. Here's the 28 days, and then here's what is going to happen. They don't really talk a lot about emotional aspects or how that's going to affect your mind, the clarity of your thinking, and just all of those things. So the confusion was, that being lifted was huge. And then really the emotional impact that it's had, I don't spend so much time now shaming myself every month for how I feel. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where the history kind of came in as well, going, oh, women used to respect themselves, and they used to respect their bodies, and they used to respect what was happening to them every month, and they made it into a ritual and something to be to find joy in. And so now I spend more time thinking about it and scheduling things around it. And then I'm not so hard on myself when things are, I'm just not together. And then when I have that peak, that really amazing peak, and I'm like, I can go and I can tackle the world because that's where I'm at in this cycle that I'm going through every month, I will plan for that, and I can, wrap my brain around things and get everything accomplished in that moment. So yeah, that has been huge, really huge.
Mm-hmm. Well, I could dive so much deeper into these questions, but I didn't want to make a super long video. But right. One thing I do want to ask that I didn't warn you about, I hope.
Okay.
So I hear that it's so wonderful that you've embraced this oh, wow, I could use this as a map. And I know how much into maps you are, so
Right.
I wondered, did you do any mapping out for yourself, like writing anything down, or has it been more of an intuitive approach?
Yeah, it's actually been more intuitive, but it would probably be a good idea if I did sit down and map it out. It never occurred to me, because you kind of know your own cycle after so many years. You kind of know when things are going to happen. But yeah, it probably would be a good thing for me to sit down and map out the days and just track myself even 1 month.
Right. And I don't proclaim that that's the best thing or not a good thing
Right.
for anyone. Some people really love that and other people don't. I just know that you're really into maps. So I wonder, it sounded like we really had developed this some. And I wonder, gosh, did she make a moon map for herself?
I should, though. I think that would probably be really beneficial for me, even if it's not for some people. I think that would probably be helpful. Yeah, more than anything, it's just awareness of how I'm feeling and knowing that this is coming and to be okay with it. Instead of wondering and questioning, I don't have to question anymore because I have the knowledge now. You've kind of delivered that knowledge to me so that I'm not so oblivious to my own body, which, we shouldn't be that oblivious to ourselves. And that's why I feel like, what you're doing is so important, because women need to be educated. It's not just about another program or just about another thing. Women need to be in tune with themselves. They need to understand what's happening, and they need to not be ashamed of it. I mean, that's just the bottom line. That happens too often, especially, I know, growing up. No disrespect to my dad or anything, but men don't understand. They don't get it. And it's not their fault. They just don't get it. They don't understand what a woman goes through every month. And so it was like the whole PMS thing, the whole thing. I remember him saying, that doesn't even exist. That's all in your head. And I remember trying to control it because he didn't understand the cycle of things you go through every month. And it's over and over again for many, many years. And so my husband's very understanding, but there's still kind of a joke around it. And so I like that you've helped me to lessen that. It's more of a sacred process now for me. And I don't wish it away all the time. And so being able to embrace what I should have embraced years ago, is amazing. That's really an amazing thing. So, yeah.
So I just have one other little tidbit
Sure, yeah.
ask that is a surprise question. So you talked about the time of the month where you can really get a lot of things done in your business and you're really focused and you schedule for that. And then you also schedule for the time where you're not, where you know that you're not really going to be on your mental A game as far as getting things accomplished, and you lighten your load at that time, which is a very common way that women use their cycles. I wonder, have you discovered anything that you are really good at that time when it's not your mental work high point? I just wonder if you've discovered what is good to put in that spot for you.
Well, yeah, I don't know what it's like for other women, but what I have found, and I haven't even thought about it until you brought that up, so I'm glad that you did, but I find that I go into more meditative state during that time, and there are a lot of things that during my push and I'm going to get this stuff done phase, I tend to forget to really meditate on the next step of whatever is coming ahead. And so I'm just going and going and going. And so when I get into that space of I can't go anymore, I find that I do things in my business that are more meditative for me. I'll work on website sales pages or little things like that. And really just kind of go inward and allow myself to think about the next phase. What's the next step? And that's really beneficial. And before, I wouldn't get myself really permission to do it. I would do it kind of secretly. I don't want to tell, I don't want to tell my husband that I'm not really working on my business right now. I'm really kind of just, processing things. And I have a really weird habit of when I need to think, I'll start redoing my website or recreating websites or working on other people's websites. And that's just kind of it helps me just kind of go into that more meditative state, just doing something that's so thoughtless for me. It's thoughtless for me. I know it's not for other people, but and yeah, so really just planning for the next phase. I get a lot of my clarity in those moments, even though my mind is a little bit foggy. It's more meditative than foggy. So hopefully that was clear.
So do you find that since you've started to honor this rhythm, do you feel that it sounds like that meditative planning, with all the business coaching and that I've received, having time for meditative self-reflection, planning, going over what worked, what didn't work, revising things, is an important part of the business, and yet we don't honor that time when we're the best at doing that.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think I've said this before, but I really feel like the major thing that I've gotten out of this work is permission and the lack of shame that was associated with everything that was happening to me. What felt like it was happening to me all these years, now it just became a process that I got to work with now. And integrating it and recognizing that, yes, like you were saying, there are times when it's better when I can do the physical work of going, and then there are times when meditating and getting clarity is just a part, and isn't that beautiful, a part of our natural rhythms as women, isn't that a beautiful thing, to be able to have that. Yeah. So how dumb that for so many years we discount it and throw it out as being, I'm not good enough in that moment. I still have to do like coaching and different things during that time, just because it lasts, long enough that I do have to fit things in. But I find in most of my downtime, I schedule more downtime and more time for reflection. And that just, having the permission to do that is really huge. And now I can explain it too, because if you don't understand what's happening, you can't explain it to somebody who's like, why are you doing that? And so that permission aspect of it is huge.
Wow. It sounds like that is bringing us a solidness and a balance to your business endeavors and your creative endeavors. It's for me as well. Yeah. So it's lovely. Thank you. It's beautifully articulated. And you started to touch on my next question about how important do you feel this is? And, this aspect of the conversation of like, whoa, this important part of creativity or building a business or whatever our endeavor is, we're just not allowing ourselves to do it. We're shaming ourselves for when we're really good at it, So
when it's natural.
How important would you say that is for women to learn to embrace this strength that they have instead of shaming themselves for it?
Yeah, so key. And it's really because in the past, it was just cope. I would cope with everything. And there's no joy in coping. It's just a mechanism. It's a habit that you form to be able to get through whatever's difficult, and you are able to move through something. But when you can turn that difficulty into a powerful resource, then and to really understand the resource that you have instead of coping. Like every month, oh my gosh, I think my period is coming and I just got to cope with this, awkwardness for a week or whatever it was. And as my body has changed as I've aged, so has my kind of emotional experience with the whole cycle. And so those things shift at times. And so my routines kind of needed to shift with those experiences. And the lack of acknowledgement of all of it. I remember we used to, this is probably a little embarrassing to say, but when I was a teenager, my best friend and I, we named it the war, that we had every once a month. So, I mean, you can kind of see there was just this coping mechanism in my life of just, well, if I didn't have this thing, then I wouldn't have to deal with it. But now, like you said, it's so much more just a beautiful part of my life. It's becoming that. I wouldn't say that all aspects of it have I embraced, and now I'm, I feel wonderful all the time, because you still have to learn to accept and to be kind to yourself and, plan those routines. But it's definitely, as far as my business goes, and that's, of course, right now in this stage of my life, a very big part of my life. It has just changed the way I do business and given me permission to stop coping and to start utilizing it as a resource instead of this blunder that somehow I'm a part of some eternal blunder that I just have to cope with. So definitely such an important thing. It's really become key in developing the processes for my business.
Mm-hmm. Beautifully articulated. Thank you so much, Thalia. So now there are other womb healers out there and people that can teach the history of the womb healing and like that. And so I wondered what you found to be particularly unique and potent about my approach to sharing what I share that touched you, that helped you see this for yourself.
Yeah, so I would say immediately the thing that I like about you that you don't see very often is just you don't tiptoe around topics, and you don't try and make them overly beautiful or special. So let me qualify that, what I'm trying to say. I remember the first time my mom tried to have a conversation about sex with me. And it was just, instead of really, let's just talk about this, and if you have any questions or whatever, it was more like, it's just a beautiful thing after you're married, and it's a special thing. And that was kind of the summation of our conversation at that time. And I remember after I got married and I was in a relationship a good sexual relationship, I realized that's not how I feel about it. I don't feel about, sex, that it's just this beautiful, feminine, little, floaty, flowery thing. Sometimes it was raw, sometimes it was animalistic, sometimes it was, just there's all these different ways of seeing it. And I love that you don't tiptoe around and try and make it into something all the time that is just a beautiful, sacred thing that we just have to honor. You do that, but you also add to that with just allowing people to discuss what they're really feeling and what they really need to get out. And what's, I loved in our Visibility Goddess experience calls that sometimes you would just out with it, some of those taboo subjects, and you just say them. And we had a man in the group and you were like, and I'm just going to say this like I see it. And that to me is the stage at which people start getting results. Because if there are things that you can't talk about, or if you're made to believe that there's only one way of seeing something or feeling something or experiencing something, and you're having a different experience with it, that really slows the healing process down. So I feel like you really accelerate the healing process for women because you're not afraid to go into all aspects of womb healing and even beyond. And you you're able to see you're in a healthy relationship. You know, you honor that relationship. But really getting to the heart of it, you know how to get to that point, and really taking people to that point of accepting those awkward feelings, and then moving through them, because you and I both know there's no real any work done, no results, without going to those dark places that you're hiding and that you're tiptoeing around. And so I feel like where I don't see very many women who are comfortable going there, you will just go there without even batting an eye. And I love that about you. And I think that that's why you get results so much quicker, because you do that naturally. That's just a part of your amazing, you know, dynamic personality. So I appreciate that a lot.
Wow. Thank you so much, Thalia. That was beautiful. And I know, you know how I feel about you, so I get it. You're just kind of taking some revenge out for all the times when I made you blush saying all this.
I love it. No, I love that you do that. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, me too. All right, well, lovely. So unless there's anything else that you wanted to say or add, we can go ahead and wrap up. Did you have any last notes to add to this?
Yeah, I would just say for anybody who's looking into womb healing, that you are definitely a great place to start, because you have not only the experience in it, but you have the depth to understand a wide variety of people. And I think that's a unique quality as well. I think you know, very few women can really relate to both the masculine and feminine in a way that you do. And so, you know, I would definitely just highly recommend that if there are women out there who are feeling the confusion or feeling the coping happening, and who want to feel free of all of that, and who want that confusion dispelled, I think you are definitely where they need to be. Definitely.
All right. Thank you so much, Thalia.
Of course.
And thank you, viewers, for joining us. And if you would like to talk to me more about womb healing, we can you're welcome to set up a womb listening initiation session on my website at samamorningstar.com/book online. And I would love to talk with you more about how I can support you. All right, take good care and have a wonderful day.